Today we will build this US election app here. Every time if you press here on this button, the wall will grow, and it's a kind of an interesting story. So every time here we have a message, and it's also changing over time. Here is every time going some animation on, and that's what we want to build now. And you can also click here on the other button and the wall will go again away. Let's get started and let's build this app. If you look at this app, we have here one scene, and this is the election stage, and then we have here this bottom where we have our buttons, and I have created here already the buttons. The first thing what we like to do here is to build the main character, and he has different moods, and that's what we want to build. So we have here 3 moods which are changing. And our main figure we will build in the election stage. So this is exactly the stage which you see here at the top. And there we simply create first of all a variable at the top, and we call it here mood. And we have here 3 different moods of our main character: great, good and bad. And then we build here at the upper stage this character. So we build Trump, and we build this method. Here we put then his mood inside, and depending on his mood we will return here different images. So one image is here for the mood great, and I have stored here all the assets in a different file, and here we have all the images of the different moods. Then we simply put here all the moods inside which we have, and also default mood if we have no mood selected. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have here exactly this image, and you can also toggle it, so you can change the mood, so you can change it to another mood, and then you need to hot restart, and then we see here the different image inside. And this is already a major step forward, so let's do the next part of our application. I think we will put here the background image inside, and also we will create this speech bubble. To build the background behind our main figure, we simply wrap this here around, and then we take here a stack, and now under this image we want to place the background image. And this is also pretty simple, so we create here this image widget and put here our background image inside, and this is also in our assets, so we have here this background image, and then we put it to the whole width and to the whole height which we have. Then we also fit it to the height itself, so that it fits here from this to this location. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have the background image, and our main figure here is floating inside of this space. So what we want to do is we want to align him to the bottom. And this is pretty simple, so we simply wrap here a container around this image, and then we put here the alignment to the bottom center, and we also give it here some padding. And now if I hot reload, we have him here at the bottom, and this looks much better. And now we also have place to build here the speech bubble. And therefore we go here to our widgets and create a new widget. And inside of this new widget, we want to put a child, and this will be our text itself. So we want to put here as child this text inside. So let's do this first. So we go here back to our main file. And here we have already the background image and also our main figure. And now under it, we want to build the speech bubble widget. So we put here this inside, and then we want to build here the text. And now we go here to the top and create a new variable text. And we want to get here the text of our speech depending on the mood which we have created here at the top. So depending on this mood, we create every time a different text. And now we simply create here this new method, and we switch here over all the moods which we have. And if you look into our example app, then you see that we have in the beginning the mood great, and this text will be then showing here. And we also have here different moods, and then the text is changing. So here we have the mood of good. So we have here different text, and we also have a bad mood, and this comes here later at this point. And then we have here this text. So now we simply put it here inside. So we have here the great mood. Then we return here a new text and put here the great text inside. And we also put here a style for this text inside. So we make it a little bit bigger. And now we simply put also the other moods inside. So we define here the good mood and define here also a different text. And we also do this for the bad mood, so we define here the bad mood text inside. And in case something goes wrong, we also have here some default text. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have here the text at the top, and this doesn't look great, and that's what we want to change right now. So we go back to our speech bubble widget, and now we want to do the whole decoration for this widget. So let's first of all look at the example. So basically what we have is some white background, and you see it is rounded here everywhere. And then we also have here this extension which we also want to build with Flutter. So here in the speech bubble we begin by putting our child into a container, and then we align it here to the top right. And we also want to make a decoration, so we want to set the background color to white. And now if I hot reload, we already have here this background color. Then we want to make it rounded at the sides, and therefore we take here the border radius and put it also inside. And now you see that it is also rounded here. The next step is to increase the padding so that we have more space between the text and our bubble. And therefore I create here a padding for the horizontal and the vertical axis. So we put it here on the horizontal, on the left and right side, and on the bottom and top side. And then it looks much better already. And the next step is to align it here properly inside of our widget. So we want to bring it more down, and here we also want to have some margin on the left and right side. And therefore we wrap our container into a new container, and we give it here some margin. And then we define here the left and right margin and also the top margin. So we want to have here the most margin at the top, and then it looks like this. And for different resolutions you also need to change this here. So maybe you put here, for example, 24 inside and then you have it more down, or you can also put it to 16 and then it also looks great. So basically how it works, we create a container and give it some width and height. And if I hot reload it right now, you see that we have here this container. And the next step is to wrap this container inside of another container, and we align it here to the top right. So we align it here. And now what we want to do is we want to put here some margin to the right because it should appear here. And therefore we wrap it here inside another container, and we set here the margin to the right side. And then it looks like this. And now if you look at our example, you see that it is already pretty close. So we only need to change here the form of this extension. And what we do therefore is we wrap this white container, so this is exactly this container, inside of another widget, and this is our clip path. And with this one we can clip this here and bring it to the right form which we want to have. And then we create here another clipper, and we also create a new file which is the speech bubble clipper. And here inside we make it extendable from this custom clipper and path, and then we can override these two methods. And here inside we can create this path to change the structure of our extension. So first of all we want to move to the middle, because in the beginning our point is here and we want to move to this location. Because if you look here at our example, this point should be somewhere reflected here, and we want to put this here to the end. So we move our point first of all here to the middle, and therefore we put here the size width divided by 2 inside. So this is here, and for the y coordinate we put 0 inside, so exactly here. And now that we have moved our path here to this point, we can start with our clipping. So basically we will clip first of all to this location. And now we create here this line to the end, and therefore we create here a path line 2 and put here the end inside. So we put it here to the end width, and the location y is here 0. And now we have exactly built here this line, and we also want to make this rounded thing and also the second curve. And therefore we create here first of all the first curve, use here this Bezier2 function, and here inside we first of all put the size width divided by 2. So basically from this point we go here to this location, and we also go here to size height. So this will be here and then at this location. So we draw here a line from this location to this location, and this is only our control point, so we will never reach this point. We actually want to reach this point here, so we go here to this 0x and size height. After it we want to create here our second curve, so we add here another Bezier2 inside, and now we want to go from this point again to this point. And therefore I add here another control point inside, and after it we put here our size width divided by 2 inside, and 0, so this is this location, which is our end. And now if I hot restart this application, you see here our extension, and this is exactly what we clipped here with this code. If we now look here at our end result of the app, what we want to build, we are pretty far. So basically what is here missing is only this wall animation and to build the wall itself. And that's what we want to build right now. So basically how this wall is working is that we every time have here some bricks. And first of all, to get started, we will build here one brick, and then we will create later a whole row, and then we create later the whole animation to actually build this row animation here. So inside of the widget folder, we create a new file, brickstone. And here inside of this widget, we first of all create an image. And basically our brick itself is also an image. And that's what we want to load. And we can also show it right now up. So we go here to our main file, and under our speech bubble here in our stack, so exactly here at this position, we want to build here one brick already. So I simply put here this brickstone inside, and you see that this image is showing here up. And that's not all what we need to do here. We need to do a little bit more. And I don't want to bother you with everything, but basically what we want to do here is we want to build the brickstones depending on our width, and therefore I take here the width of the screen and I determine then this stone width depending on this width here. And then what we do here is we determine the actual stone height of this brick, and later we use this stone height. So I don't want to go here much into detail how this is working, but basically we have here a method, and there we are calculating the current height of this stone. And then we simply use this width and height which we have determined and put them here inside. And because we want to build here later some stones next to each other in a row, and every time we cannot put them here next to each other, we need to change the position, otherwise it doesn't look here great. And what we do therefore is we simply put it here inside of a stack, and then we change here the position of this image. And with this stone match, you can basically match the stones so that they are matching pretty good together. And now if I hot reload, you see that the stone is going here first of all to the bottom. And we also can now change here the stone match to actually change how this stone is appearing. So we go here to our main back, and here inside you can define the stone match. So you can define here another value, and then it is going more to the left side. With this, you can then put more stones together and it looks like they are connected actually. So let's try this out. We put here simply a row right now inside, and we also duplicate this here. And you see that we have here some space between, so we need to increase here the stone matching so that this is actually matching. And if we put here another again inside, then first of all we have here an exception, but you also need to increase here again the stone matching. So we need to put it here, for example, to 60, and then these are matching. And now instead of this row, we will create a new widget, and we call it wall row widget, where we place all our brickstones inside. Inside of this wall row widget, we have first of all an index, and basically every row has here, for example, 3 stones next to each other, and the first stone has then the index of 0, this has 1, and this 2. And with count stones we actually define how many items we want to display inside of a row, because later we are having here an animation going on, and therefore we want to change here this field, and then also it should change how many are displayed here inside. We start here by building first of all an animated list, because later we have here in our row an animation going on, and every time you see, for example, here is something animated, and this is what the animated list is doing for us out of the box. And here inside of this animated list we want to put our brickstone, so we call here build item, and later we will build here our brickstone itself. And then we define here how many items should be displayed, and we simply put here our count stones inside. So these are how many items are put here into our animated list. And the next important thing is to change here the scroll direction, because by default it's going here from top to down, but we want to scroll here to the right and left because we have a row. And then we need to define here a key. This is mandatory. And then we simply call here the keys and we put here our index inside, and depending on our index we get here every time a different key. And I have everything put right now into our builder. So I have created already here in this app state the key list. So here we have a key list and we generate here for every row some items. So we generate here our global keys, and then we simply have here some getters and setters also. And by the way, if you want to get the source code, you can get it with the first link in the description to check here everything out. And with the second link, you can get my Flutter course where I teach you how you can become more efficient with Flutter and how you can become a great developer. So, alright, let's go back to our row widget, and here inside we created here this key. And then we also make sure that we have here every time a key set, otherwise we set here a default global key. And we also set here that this should not scroll because this is an animated list and this will scroll if we have here some interaction, but we want to disable it. After it, we also set here the padding and the primary to false. And now comes the interesting part. So we want to build the item itself. And here we simply get the animation and an index, and this is what we get from this animated list. And now we put here our brick stone inside. This is the stone which we have here created before, and here inside we need to define our stone match. And like you know, and like I showed you before, we need to put here every time a different stone match inside. So in the beginning we have here a lower value than at the end, and like you can see, it's every time growing here by 20. And therefore we put here the stone match inside, and this is depending on our index. So later indexes will have here a higher stone match, and here is the value of 20 inside. And we also want to create this animation, and if you look here close to the animation, you see that it is kind of a scaling animation, and that's what we want to build here. And therefore we put here into our brickstone also this animation which we get from the animated list. And then we can build here in our brickstone this animation. So let's go to our brickstone widget. And here inside we simply put the animation inside. To build this scale animation, it's pretty simple. We put here a transition inside, a scale transition, and then it's scaling up and down. And we simply put here the animation of our animated list inside. And this will handle then this animation automatically for us. We don't need to do here many things. Alright, and now we can test it out. So we have our brickstone completed and also our row widget. Now we can use this row widget and put it here inside of our main file. And we simply delete this row which we had before and put this new row inside. And we give here the row itself a specific height. So we put here the stone height inside, so it should not extend our height of the stone. And then we put it inside of a column. And that's because we want to generate here different rows. So we want to have here multiple rows on top of each other. This is pretty simple. We simply create here a list generate, and then we define here how many rows we want to generate, and then he will generate X rows, and I have set it right now to 6 rows. And the last thing what we need to do is we also need to set here the index inside, and this is every time the index of our row. Right now we don't see the row stones here at the top because in the beginning we don't have here at the top row stones. We only have it here at the bottom, and over time it will be here animated like you can see, and that's what we want to build. And we also want to build the row stones here to the bottom, so I will simply put it here into our build buttons, and here we have a stack and we want to build it here under our buttons, so we put it here at the beginning inside. And I simply paste right now this code inside, and I don't want to explain it because this goes too much here into detail, and we already have this row here created at the top. So here at the bottom it's exactly the same going on. After we have hot restart this application, it looks then like this. And now comes the second part to build the functionality. If we click here on one of these buttons, what should happen if we click here on the right button is that the wall should grow itself. So over time it gets more, and also the mood here of this character will change. If we click here on the left side, and then the wall will shrink again, and then it looks like this. That's what we want to create right now. In our source code we have here two buttons. The first one is this left button, and also we have here this other button. And now every time if we click on these buttons, we want to add the functionality. And now we create here these two vote methods. So I go here down and create here both of them. With you together, I will only implement here the first method because the second method works pretty the same. Therefore, we start with this method here. And this will be executed every time if this here is clicked, and then the row should grow. This should grow also depending on our mood. So we have here a mood level, and here we simply calculate the new mood index. And if we look here into our mood, then it is every time going here one index higher, and this means that the mood is decreasing. And therefore I put here every time a higher value inside if we press here on this button. And now we simply want to change here the mood, and this is that we override here the current mood. Now we want to change here depending on this mood our animation of the walls and brickstones, and therefore I put here first of all the mood grade inside, and this is the mood here at the beginning. So this is actually this mood here, and if we then press on this button, what should happen is that we should grow here two brickstones, and we also change here the mood of him. So we change here to this mood that this is showing, and we also change here the picture. And therefore I simply put here two brickstones inside, and I have created already here in our provider this method, and here is basically all the logic inside. If you want to get more detail about how this works, then you can watch my video about animated list, because here basically we insert an item inside of our current key, and this is here inserting it every time in our list, and then it will later do the animation for us. But for more details, look really into my animated list tutorial. And yeah, we simply put here every time some brickstones inside. We have here a count, and after we have inserted one brickstone, we simply wait here for some duration, and we also can define this duration on our own. So we can define how long we should wait until the next brickstone will be laid inside. We also have here the second case later that we have here exactly the same thing, but the brickstone will be deleted, and we also have here some duration to wait after each brickstone was deleted, and then you can define it here at the top. Alright, let's go back to our main, because this is the logic and you can look it up in the source code which I have uploaded. And here we simply put then two brickstones inside, and you also can define here how long it should take. So it should take every time 1 second, and then we want to change the mood, so we change it here to the new mood, and then the text will also update itself. Alright, and then comes the next mood. Let's look here at our example. So we put here many more brickstones inside, and then the mood will change from this mood to this other mood, and we also change here the text. After it we put here even more bricks inside until everything is filled up. This is what we implement here. So we have first of all two inserted, then we put here another two inside, and they are a little bit slowly so that it looks more like a story here inside, and then we change the mood, and at the end we put here a lot of brickstones inside. So we put here all the brickstones inside to fill here everything up. And yeah, I will also fill here the second one because this is pretty similar. So we also have here different moods, and then we simply delete here some brickstones if we click here on this button here. Alright, and now we have here these two methods inside. Now we can try this application out. So I press here on this button, and you see that here is something happening. The story is going on. We have here only some overflow, but this is fine for now. And then I can press here again on this button, and you see it will grow here, and the story will unfold here further. So we have here some waiting in between and so on. The mood is changing like you can see, and then everything is filling here up. And you also have here the other case where you press on this button, and then everything is going away again, and then you see also his mood is changing, and I can also put here again all the stones away, and then we have here this mood inside. And to change this overflow, which you saw before, you need to change here actually the row count, because right now it was set here to 6, and maybe you choose here a lower value of 5 or 4. And then we have here less rows for this screen size, because right now I didn't do it for different screen sizes. I only wanted to show you how you can create the different animations and how you can build a story around this with Flutter. And if you want to do some fine tuning and make it available for different screen sizes, then you can basically change here this and also improve it for different resolutions. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel here to get the latest news about Flutter, and see you soon. Bye!